Yeah, sure.
Alright, tell me when to start the timer, you beautiful lad.
Alright. Give me just one sec. Just gonna pull up splits that I have open.
Yep.
Just so I can look at.
No.
Hello everyone. I'm David. I'm gonna be playing 1davidj, doing all tracks.
David.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah. I'll give you a countdown. 3, 2, 1, go. So okay. 3, 2, 1, go.
God bless your heart, Octopus Man.
Yeah, so this is F-Zero GX. It's a racing game for GameCube. Super fast game. What I'm going to be doing for this run, the reason why it's called snaking, is I did this back and forth motion. There's an exploit when you do a certain thing. Basically in this game you can choose between either having higher acceleration and lower max speed, or having the opposite, higher max speed, lower acceleration. And there's an exploit when you have like extremely high acceleration values, where when you're turning you gain speed. So that's what I'm doing. And it wasn't like that big of a deal for like most vehicles, but I'm using a custom vehicle, which makes like ridiculous usage of it. Or actually, like basically most custom vehicles using this engine make really good use of it. So you can make custom vehicles in this game. Basically, you put together like a vehicle body, engine, and cockpit. And cockpit controls like turning, engine controls like max speed and acceleration and stuff, and then the body kind of does a bit of everything. So with this engine, it's like the heaviest one, so it's got really low acceleration and really high max speed. So it's kind of the opposite, because like you set the accelerations to super high acceleration and low max speed, but the engine that you want actually ends up doing the opposite. But anyway, basically everything comes together, and you go really fast when you're turning back and forth. So there's going to be 2 vehicles that I use for most of the run. In fact, actually, the one I'm just starting to use now is going to be what I'm using the most. Part of the issue with this, like the reason that snaking is less popular, so snaking, or basically there's snaking and like the non-snaking category. The snaking category is faster, but it's a lot less popular, partially because it's hard in your hands, but also it's like really hard to do. And part of the reason for that is that you have really low grip when you're going so fast, and then also when you're turning constantly, it's like hard to keep yourself from hitting walls and stuff like that. And then just the fact that you're going faster altogether makes it like harder to control and stuff. So this vehicle has like some of the best control of like any vehicle that's decent for snaking. So that's why I'm going to be using it most of the time. But yeah. So what happened right there is there's like a place where the course bends, and if you're going too fast, you fly off and die. But if you do it in a certain way, like you approach it correctly, you kind of approach it at an angle, and when you lift off, you can like fly over part of the course and just like skip over a bit. So up next here, I'm going to be using the same vehicle again. One of the things you have to manage a lot with snaking, especially like even more than max speed, is whenever the course bends down in like certain places, if you're going fast enough, then like you'll catch air over those spots, and due to the way that like physics work, if you catch air, you instantly regain grip. And when I'm doing this turning glitch, I actually don't have grip in like the normal way that like you're supposed to. So there's some places that I need to be like careful not to catch air. So like at the beginning turn, especially on boost laps, I have to like swing super wide to prevent myself from like catching air by accident, because it'll like mess everything up and I'll lose a bunch of speed. Also, there's some times where like I let off the engine. Oops, I was supposed to boost there. Like right now, this game has like an unintended effect where if you have the engine off, you keep your high speed a lot better. Basically, the way that it works is when the engine's on, your engine pulls you down to your it pulls you to your top speed. So either if you're above your top speed, it'll pull you down, which is the unintended part. Or obviously, like if you're below your top speed, it'll bring you up to that. So if the engine's off, you'll decelerate fairly linearly. So you save like a ton of speed by doing this. So there's places I'm going to be doing that. basically, if there's any place that like that I can't snake for whatever reason, almost all the time I'm just gonna be MTing. That's what it's called. It's called MT or momentum throttle. Oh, okay. Everything's fine. Oh yeah, so right there I like died just at like last couple frames and then bounced across the finish line. If the vehicle blows up, it's fine. Doesn't actually matter as long as the blown up vehicle makes it across the finish line. You finish the race. So. And actually, what I was doing there on purpose was there's this drift technique called MTS. It's like momentum throttle slide, where or momentum turbo slide, I guess, where pretty much you lose grip and then like you turn sideways and strafe forward, and it's like really weird. But for some reason, like when you do that, it kind of breaks it a little bit. So the strafing engines get stronger the faster you're going. I guess the reason for that is like if they're really weak, or if it was constant, then like if you're going really slowly, then strafing would cause you to like, it'd be really hard to control because like you go flying left and right. But if you're going really fast, it wouldn't do very much compared to like your forward speed. So they just made it like kind of scale up linearly with your speed, I guess. So when you're doing that glitch, your speed goes up from the strafing, which causes your strafing to be stronger, which causes your speed to go up. I think that's part of what causes it to work, among other things. So it's kind of hard to control, but like you can do it at the end of or like at the end of the run, just because it'll like get you across the finish line faster. And if you try and like exit one, you'll lose speed, but at the end of the run, it doesn't really matter. So I do that at like the end of the run most of the time. So upslopes in this game, like if you're driving up an upslope, like kind of like that, a lot of times they have kind of like different unique physics. If you're going fast enough up an upslope, then you kind of get this weird thing where like you have very little steering control, and like your collision on walls gets really gummy. Like when you're in that state, like you can kind of like ride along a wall and like it won't actually do anything to you. So there's sometimes where like I'll use that the MTS glitch, except I'll do it and I'll just like sit in place along the wall. Like right there, I was like grinding along that wall, but it didn't actually do anything to me. So I was like in that glitched upslope state. So it's kind of weird, but just like another thing about this game, I guess. That was a pretty good time, actually. So up next is the last course in Ruby Cup, which is just like the first set of courses. This course is a pretty cool course to snake. It's just got like a lot of potential, basically. I think my personal best time on this course is like, I think the record's like a 113, and I have a 129, so it's like 16 seconds faster. It's actually absurd what the difference is. It just has like so much potential that like I can't like reach. I guess like a lot of courses like that to a degree, but this course is definitely one of them. One of the things, so something I haven't explained yet is, I mentioned before that like I want to avoid like catching air when like I'm trying to like control and stuff because it messes with you. But there's actually a thing that happens in this game called shift boosting, where if you catch air for a moment, then you get like a burst of speed, and I did just die. That whoa. So there were a bunch of mines there, and I accidentally hit one of them, and then like kind of blasted into all of them, and then hit the wall and like died from full health, which I've never done like that before. But what was I saying? Oh yeah, shift boosting. So like if you catch air for a moment and then like re-land on the ground, you can actually get like a burst of speed. So you can get one there. I kind of missed it, but like I caught air there for a minute just before the dive, because like the way that the ground bends. But like that's one of the like many things you can do to like save a bunch of time. I'll be using shift boost a lot more later. There's a couple courses that like I really abuse them. But you see them a lot more in the non-snaking gameplay category, called max speed. They're a little bit less relevant here, but they are still pretty relevant. I don't really have very much luck or very much success getting that shift boost, but I just figure I just like go for it every time because it's not really much harm. Oh yeah, so you can also do something called a rail slide, which is basically just an MTS, like the drift. You do it against a wall, and you can kind of like zip along it really fast. It drains your health pretty quick, but it can cause you to go like even faster than like normal MTSs. That one was kind of bad, but like I zipped up to like 3,200 there. I could have gotten like over 4,000 if I'd gotten like a really good one, if I'd done it just right. But pretty much you do them at the end of courses most of the time, if there's like the right place for it. If like the end of the course has like a straight line. And it's just like a fast way to end it. You usually get some refill towards the end anyway, so like you don't die. And even if you do die doing the rail slide, usually you'll like fly across the finish line, and it'll end up being fast. But rail slides aren't used very often outside of at the end of runs. There's a couple places. There's like one course right towards the end of the run that I'll be using. There's like a rail slide I do at one part on all 3 laps. So yeah, this is the first time I'm using this vehicle. I'm only going to use this vehicle on 2 courses. This is basically an extremely light body, and it has really good turning. So like it can navigate the turns on this course like a little bit better than everything else. And there's also a crazy suicide finish you can go for that's like a lot easier with this vehicle. I'm not going to go for it. I'm pretty inconsistent at it. Basically, you use like hard MTS into that corner right there, and like you just go like flying across the finish line. It's pretty insane. I kind of felt like going for it there. Like my energy might have worked out, but I didn't really want to. See, up next is Aero Dive. This course has like a big dive, hence the name, where basically you drop down really far and build up a bunch of speed. Pretty much like you're supposed to drop down, like you drive down like these little steps. But if I do it right, I'm just gonna like skip all the steps and just do something else, which I'll show once I get there, assuming I don't mess it up. Yeah, so like I can't really snake on these. When you first like land on the ground, it like takes a little bit before you can start snaking. So I just like build up speed at the beginning and then I don't snake for a little bit on the those like steps. Yeah, so that's what I was talking about. I kind of messed up the part after. There's something I haven't really talked about yet. It hasn't really come into play. So in this game, there's a button to like attack to the side, and it's designed like for when you're racing against other racers. You can like bash into them and do damage to them and blow them up. But since it like pushes you to the side, you can use it in certain ways to like go fast. Especially like on big dives like that, you can use it to like build up speed on the way down. It's used a lot more in max speed, but like it's used on the ground and stuff like that in max speed too. But in snaking, it's mostly just used for stuff like that. Also, I was going really fast and like the ground like bent down there as like flattened out again, so I just like got a bunch of air. I actually caught more air than I meant to, but it was fun. Yeah, I'm playing Octoman. Shoutouts to Octoman. Yeah, so that was like a super good rail slide along like that whole ending strip. That was actually pretty good aero dive overall. 135 is not bad for me. So up next is Mobius Ring. This course it's fairly basic, but it's a Mobius Ring or a Mobius strip. So basically, when you're driving in a straight line, you or like when you stay on one side of the ring, you end up like there's one turn in the middle, so you end up driving both sides. So overall, it's like a pretty short course, but especially like if you consider one loop around it only takes like a couple seconds. So like this is the starting line, and then like I'm halfway around the circle, and then like I'm now on the other side of the starting line, like coming up here, and that's only like half the lap, so it's like 13 seconds. Oh. Is that video starting coming from me, or is it coming from Restream? Might be coming from me. I can figure out what I can do about that. I guess I can, well apparently I can die. How is it? Hopefully that stops. I don't know if that was, yeah, I know it's a ring with one side, but like, I don't know how to word it. Like, how do you say you're riding on both sides of one side? Like, so, I just say two sides to be very clear. So yeah, one of the things about this is since you're riding on the one side, you end up some of the time facing up, but some of the time you're upside down. So along with the course having like a bunch of like weird ridges, if you drive over one of those ridges weirdly, then you can catch air and like lift off by accident. And if you lift off and you're upside down, then you fall and die. Whereas like when I'm right side up, if I lift off, you know, I'll just fall back down onto the track, like right now. So this is kind of messy, but this course gets kind of messy sometimes. Snaking in general actually is like a lot of times really messy. It's really just like hard to keep control when you're going this fast and when you're like turning back and forth. Anyway, that wasn't too bad. So now I've got long pipe. This is a course where you're on the inside of a pipe, hence the name. It's really hard to snake because, I don't know if I've mentioned, pretty much whenever you're facing an upslope, your snaking gets like it gets a lot harder, where your turning doesn't become as responsive. And like the less responsive your turning is as a result of that, the less speed you get from snaking. Or eventually, like pretty quickly, you'll start just like skidding and not getting any speed. So basically I need to like always have like a flat surface that I'm trying to turn on as much as possible. Because like if I'm facing an upslope, then like I won't get any speed from my snaking. So it's something that's like really hard to manage on this course. So sometimes in areas like this, I like actually won't even snake for a bit, because if I was gonna try, I would just like lose a bunch of speed. Like right there, like whenever you see like the red sparks when I'm trying to snake, that means I'm messing up. And basically, if you ever see red sparks and the engine's on, that means it's bad. So whenever like I know I'm gonna skid because the turning, I'll release the engine so I don't lose speed as much. Something also that's like really strange is when you have the engine off, you have like better vehicle control and like better grip, which is like a really weird thing. Like I don't know why that would be something. It had to have been deliberate because like it's a very like very clear like different like amount of like vehicle control. So I don't know like how that kind of thing happens on accident, but I also don't know why it would happen on purpose. But whatever, it's the case, so we'll use it. Whoa. Okay. I was being extremely careful there because like I came very very close to dying. So how do boost pads work? So essentially this game, you can be in boost state. And when you're in boost state, a lot of your physics change. So your top speed goes up, your acceleration ironically goes down, but like your speed like increases significantly when you're driving in that state. But there's also some other things like uh, sometimes it seems like your grip improves when you're in that state, but also like your MTS, like the drifting technique, gets stronger. There's like a lot of weird things that. Also, I was gonna use a different vehicle here. I meant to. But this is fine. I was gonna use the vehicle that the former world record used. So the world record here now uses the same vehicle as I was using on most of the courses. So it's like super easy to control. But the record before was using like a unique vehicle that like only is only used here. Oh, well, I made that. Okay. I'm gonna die here though, I think. Actually, maybe not. Okay. So that was a really weird show of what just happened. Essentially, like 2 shortcuts happened for me just like gliding through the air. It ended up being really, really slow because I was like going really slow while doing them. But it was kind of silly, so I guess you got to see him. There's another shortcut. There's another one. So rather than trying to explain what I'm doing, I figure I'll just like let the course speak for itself. Also, I need to be really careful. I have like no energy. Okay. Well, that was kind of slow, but I got to show off the skips, so that's good. Basically, that course has like a bunch of potential. There's like, so the way skips work in this game is there's like checkpoints every so often on the course, like pretty commonly, and you can skip like a couple at a time. Because for example, let's say like you were to pop up and just like drive over a little bit of a corner, you still would like technically skip probably a checkpoint or like a couple or something. So there's a limit on how many you can skip while flying through the air. Then you have to land to like re-update your new position, and then you can like take off again. So when you exit like the pipe that I was flying out of, I can land about as far as where the jump plates are, and then from the jump plates I can I move over in the air to like the left to hit like one more checkpoint, and then I can glide to like to the bottom of the dive. So essentially I'm like maximizing how many checkpoints I can skip at once. So it's kind of weird, kind of complicated, kind of hard to like explain as I'm doing it too. So this is a cylinder knot. It's like the opposite of a pipe, so you're on the outside. It's generally like a little bit easier to snake on, actually. The main issue here is like if the cylinder's like turning away from you, then you might like catch air, and it's usually like hard to get the shift boost speed, like I was talking about before when like you catch air. So most of the time you just end up like losing control, and then you lose a bunch of speed whenever you catch air. But it's not nearly as bad as like driving in a pipe. So. This course is a lot of like finding places with like good long turns to like build up a bunch of speed on with like a boost, and then I just like empty to like keep the speed up as best I can. Because since I have such high acceleration, because the max acceleration settings, also that boost was probably kind of dangerous. Actually, no, it's fine. I usually want to keep a little bit of energy for like the end of the course because those like bars or like pipes at the end, and if I bump into one, they'll like do some damage to me. It's like I almost died on long pipe because of them, and this course has them too. So I just want to like keep some just in case. Okay, that was really bad. I got like really nervous when I hit one, and I just like hit another one right after. But fortunately, this vehicle, like it gets 5 full boosts, and then there's like a little bit of energy left, so I can use all 5 if I want during the course, and then still have a little bit of safety. Also, so I don't know if I quite explained your questions about how they work. Basically, it just like increases your stats, and then so they don't increase your speed by like a set amount. How much speed they increase by is based on how fast you're going to begin with. Because the faster you're going to begin with, the higher top speed you'll end up with, but the less like the boost will have increased your speed. It's like really hard to avoid. It's part of the issue also with like snaking is sometimes like when you're not turning, you get like this weird skidding thing, and then like the joystick doesn't help control as much as you'd think. It's kind of weird. Anyway, that was like super bad and messy, but that happens on that course sometimes, so that's okay. But yeah, I think technically they might give a little bit more speed if you're on them longer, maybe. But like, you spend so little time on a booster that it's pretty unnoticeable. Like the difference between passing one at 2,000 and then passing one at like 300, I guess. If you're going 300, then it'd be a big difference. But outside of that, it doesn't really matter. You're only over for like a couple of frames, and it's not like a significant difference. So. So this course's intersection, basically there's this pipe that I'm in right now, and it kind of like passes through the course a couple times, and it does like a bunch of like weird bends. It's really hard to like steer in this thing because it bends a lot. So my best bet is usually like, try and find some place where like I have like a nice turn that I can turn along to like get speed from snaking. And I just like have to build up a little bit of speed and just like MP as like the pipe bends. But like you can see right here, like these are like that pipe. And there's like 5 intersections. So being in the pipe's like the main part of the course, but it also has like this other bit here. So it's pretty hard to like keep speed up and like get speed while on the pipe, but I try the best I can, I guess. Also, it should be faster to go for like all 5 boosters on boost laps, but like maybe only barely. To the point that like even the record doesn't go for it. It's just like a lot harder. So you just kind of like take the ones on the right side and then boost during the other part, because you have like plenty of energy there anyway. Whoa, that was weird. Whoa, almost died. Okay. If I had like not hit that wall there, I could have actually gotten my personal best time. That was like pretty close. I think my personal best is a 151. That was a 152.0. Yeah, 151.0 is my personal best, so I could have gotten that. So here we've got double branches. It's a course where there's like a bunch of places where the course splits into 2 different sections, and you can like drive on either one. Which part we drive on is like pretty well defined. There's reasons for each one. So like at the beginning here, I'm going to be taking the left path, because the left path has more boosters, but like the right path has a refill strip, but it doesn't matter on lap 1. Also, something I haven't really explained, the pretty basic concept of the game is my energy in the top right is like my health, but everything is fine. Okay, that was cool. But basically, once you get to lap 2 and on lap 3 as well, you can exchange health for a manual boost. So, yeah. So that was an accident. There's a couple places on this course where if you're going too fast, the course bends down in a place where you're upside down, so you lift off and die. And that's what happened there. I knew it was coming, but I just didn't slow down quite enough for it. That's fine now. So yeah, like right here is the first one, like right there to about here. Second one's like right here. So slow down. Oh, yeah. It's like right there. I lifted off. Fortunately, I didn't get far enough away from the track for it to count. And the last thing is like right here. And now I'm up on the top of the course again. But like that other part, I was upside down. So if I like lift it off, then I would have died. So like this path has the refill strip, so it ends up being faster on boost laps. So yeah, I actually have to use the brake like several times on this course. There's a few other places like randomly throughout the game where I have to brake. Feels kind of bad to go slow, but, you know, whatever. That was a pretty good lap, too, actually. Pretty good lap 1 and 2. But. Oh, okay. That was really close. Whoa, that actually PB'd. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm actually going to take a time loss, and I'm going to save the Ghost from replay. Because that was like a pretty significant PB, I think. Yeah, that was like over a second. So in this game, actually, showing off more tech on this game, you can save a Ghost that you can like race against. And you can also save a replay file that like allows you can basically open up a replay viewer, and it'll just like play back. It like copies all the inputs per frame, and then it'll like play it back perfectly. And actually, replays that like are made on Dolphins, like you can task a replay, and then you can actually, using some GameCube memory management software like from Homebrew, you can actually put it on a console and play it back on console. So that's pretty cool. You also have Bell. So I saved the Ghost because it's nice to race against when I'm actually going for PB attempts, and then the replay is just like a proof thing. It's not really as big of a deal to me as the Ghosts, because like I usually have the live recording, but it's nice to have that too. So this is a course I could die a lot on. It's a half pipe, but there's just like a lot of places where just like BS can happen. I can just like lose grip and then just like die. So it's definitely possible I die like 20 times here. If I start like chain dying over and over, I'll just move on. Because like sometimes when I'm practicing, that's like a thing that'll happen. I'll just like die like 10 times in a row. And like I would want to say like, oh, I'll just like go for consistent strats or something. But it's really hard to like determine what's a consistent strat. And like something, it just feels like you're playing basic like consistent stuff, and then you'll just like die somewhere, and it's stupid. So I don't even like bother. I might die there. Yeah. So you can do a big skip there, but like, I would have gone for it on lap 1, but I kind of messed up the approach, so I didn't do it. But I should be able to show it off here. What happened there was I messed up when I was like going off, so I was like, I messed up there too. I was like skidding when I went off, so when you're skidding and you catch air, some kind of weird things happen. And like after you're like turning in the air for a bit, you like lose the ability to like control. The game will like forcibly like it'll like force you into a corkscrew in like a direction. So if you're trying to turn against it, it's like you can't. That's kind of what happened there. Okay, everything is fine. There we go. Finally showed it off. So those lasers, they actually do damage to you, but they do like extremely little. So I don't really have to worry about them. The only issue is I have to not be exactly like completely out of energy. Oh, what? Okay. That's a pretty lame way to die. Sometimes when I go off there, it like updates. I think it updates my checkpoint backwards, so I really don't know what happens. But for some reason, it thinks I've skipped too many checkpoints when I go for it, and it ends up killing me. So I don't really know what causes it, but sometimes that happens. Okay. I guess I'll just like stop going for this run, because I want to not die anymore. Yeah, sometimes that happens. This is kind of what I was talking about like, if I die too many times. So I think actually if I die one more time, I'll just like move on, because there's no real point. I've already like shown off the course, so. For the sake of like an actual like completed speedrun, like full game speedruns of this game are like kind of a meme, because like there's too much stuff that's just like you spend so much time grinding time attack strats that like nobody wants to like go to basic stuff for these runs, and like the majority of whether or not like or how good your time would just be whether or not you die or how many times you die rather than how good your racing is. Because if you die like on lap 3 on a long course, you lose like 2 minutes, which 2 minutes of like gameplay is huge, but 2 minutes of one death in a bad place is like not. So full game runs are a bit of a meme. They're still fun to do, but people don't really take them very seriously. They're mostly just good for like marathon runs to show off the game. I said I wasn't gonna go for that. I think I went for it last lap and it worked. Whoa, okay. Okay, I almost died there too. So that would be an example of just like, you can just die anywhere for any reason and not expect it. And like even when I was wobbling back and forth once the half pipe ended, like it was still possible I just like bounced over the rail and died. So I was like really careful. That's fine though. So up next is, this is Ordeal. It's a pretty fun course. There's like a whole bunch of platforms, and I kind of like float through the air a lot. Between platform to platform. Oh, CGN dies plenty, don't worry. Yeah, like, actually he probably dies more than most, because he goes for extremely, like, extremely complex strats on a lot of his, like, super good times are using, like, absurdly difficult strats, so he dies and resets probably more than, like, just about anyone else. I was going to show off a cool little skip, but I messed it up. I probably showed off on one of the boost laps. Yeah, CGN's good, but he's actually not even the best snaking player. Best snaker is a Japanese player who's been playing for like over 10 years. And he's like still playing now, like still setting records. It's pretty insane. Plus, like, CGN's been kind of inactive for a while, but... Okay. So here's the skip I was going to show off on lap 1. Yeah. That was kind of messy, but... I like to do that on lap 1. I don't usually go for it on boost laps. I think it might be a little bit slower, but... it seems to be faster for me on lap 1s. The record doesn't use it, but... so it's kind of up in the air, but... It's a fun skip anyway, so I like doing it. My energy's a bit low, so I'm just playing it safe. If I wanted to be risky, I would have boosted before like that drop, like 2 drops ago. I didn't want to like do that and then like hit a wall and die. Just long course. Okay, so that almost didn't work. There's a suicide there that's like actually pretty free. You just kind of like touch the right wall. You just kind of like fly across the finish line. I did it really slowly because I kind of messed up the approach and I was afraid. What ladder do I focus on currently? The past couple months I've been focusing a lot more on snaking. Traditionally I've done a lot more max speed. But I think at this point my snaking Yeah, that was really close. If I'd been like a little bit lower, if I'm below the finish line, it doesn't actually count. So, but I think at this point my snaking times are harder for me to beat than my max speed times because I've worked on them more recently. So, okay, so this course is like really awful for snaking. It's called Trident. It doesn't have any walls anywhere. So if you mess up snaking at all, then like you fall off and die. So actually, what I'm gonna do is like for parts of the opener and then for pretty much the whole boost laps, I'm actually not gonna snake. I'm just gonna like drive straight because in a marathon it's like stupid. Like, okay, yeah. Sometimes stuff like that can just happen. Like you just kind of like regain grip for a moment and then like you're at like a weird angle and you fall off. So it was still like an execution error. Like if my snaking were a little bit more clean, then like that kind of thing wouldn't happen. But it's just so easy for like stuff like that to occur that I usually just kind of do something like this. So if I were playing this course on max speed, I'd be going for a bunch of shift boosts everywhere, which will show up on this dive. Like I said, I was going to use shift boosts more later. That's bad. Okay. I'm not going to do any on this lap. I messed up the dive, so we'll landed with like no speed. Okay, I guess I am doing some, kind of by accident. So if you go off course for a moment and then back onto the course, you get speed. That's what I did there. I went for one before the dive, and then it gave me like a weird angle on my dive, so I didn't have any speed when I landed, and then I accidentally did one, which gave me enough speed to go for more, so that was kind of weird. So right here, I'm just going to be like boosting through. I actually like let off the gas for a minute between boosts, because this is a time like towards the end of my boost where it gets a lot weaker, or pretty much like stops boosting altogether, but that's before it'll let me boost again. So I actually want to have the engine off during that short little bit of time. I messed that up. That sucks. Okay. I guess it always feels bad to say like I don't want to go for those shift boosts after the dive because they're usually pretty easy, but I messed them up twice now, so that's not good. I guess the same thing here is with half pipe where like there's the chance that I could just like chain die repeatedly. So if I die like okay, if I die twice more, I'll move on. That's what I'll say. Because at this point, well, especially if I like finish a boost lap, I'll turn off the course. But I don't want to spend too much time like stuck on a course for no reason. So we'll see how it goes. Also, like the places that I'm choosing to like stop snaking might seem kind of random, but okay. All right, last attempt. Whenever the course is like twisting, it makes the physics like inconsistent between whether you're turning into the curve or away from the curve. Okay. Well, fake speedrun, but that's fine. I just don't want to spend like so much time on that course, just like grinding it. But basically, whenever like the course is twisting in a weird way, you have to be really careful that when you're turning into the curve, your turning is less responsive, and when you're turning away from it, it's like a lot more responsive. So even if it feels like you're driving straight, you need to like turn more into the curve, and it just becomes really hard to manage. So some places I'll just like stop snaking just in case. So this is lateral shift. This course basically has a bunch of little places where the course just like moves to the side, like that red arrow. So I'm going to be using some of them to get shift boosts, like that, except not dying. The reason why I'm using this vehicle, both on last course and this course, is the heavier a vehicle is, the more speed it gets from shift boosts. So on both courses where you use a lot of shift boosts, it's useful. This course, the record actually uses the lighter vehicle that I've been using for most of the run, because there's like a crazy like jump that you can do only with that, because that one's so light. But this is kind of what this course looks like if you're playing at max speed. Is most of it, outside of like the snaking, it's mostly just about like driving over those shifts to get the shift boosts. So some of them will skip based on, like some of them are harder to get than others. You have like less time to get back on the course or whatever. Whoa, okay. And right there, if you're going too fast, you'll die. Essentially, like that part right there where I was saying, like if you're going too fast, you flap and die. The snaking record pretty much does the same kind of like jump that that I was doing on split oval, which is like the second course in the run, where like the course turns away from you, but like you approach it at like the right angle and you like fly off through the air instead. Pretty much does that. Since it's like harder to do here, and then also playing the rest of the course is a lot harder with that vehicle because you have less grip. So, oh, okay. Yeah, so you have like less grip and you get less speed from the shift boost. Like it's harder to go overall. I think this vehicle could come close to being like as good as the other vehicle for like the top time, but there's only like a couple people in the world good enough to like attempt that, and everyone just uses the other one. So it's gonna be like the last shift boost abuse course. This course has like a bunch of like kind of tall lumps where I'll like drive off, I'll do shift boost off of, but it's not nearly as much as like the last two, or at least like I didn't do very many shift boosts, but like if you were watching it, like a high level run, you'd see a bunch, and then like last run was like pretty much all shift boosts. This one's like quite a bit of a hybrid, so like there's some places that'll do a couple shift boosts, like here. I missed that one, but like on these opening lumps I do a bunch, but that's about it for the course. Also, there's like those jump plates there, and you kind of have to like fly through the air. There's like weird lumped ground, and if you drive over it, it like murders your speed. So you kind of just like take the jump plate and like fly over it instead. There's another section just like that here. Also, yeah, you can like bounce on those pipes. Whoa, that was a lot of height. That's funny. Oh, I missed the jump plate, but that's fine. So yeah, that's pretty much what it looks like if you don't take it. The lumps just kind of like wreck you. Oh, no. I missed the jump plate. And like in that case, if you're going like really fast, sometimes like that'll just happen. Oh my god. Oh yeah. So you can like hit those poles. It's kind of like how I did at the end of that first lap, except the ones at the end of the first lap are oftentimes pretty funny like that, because you usually hit the top and you just like bounce forward, usually, but like the ones on this first one are like really deadly. Like almost always, like if you hit them, you'll just like bounce into lava and die. If you're going fast enough, you never have to avoid them, because like, or you don't really have to worry about them, because you like always make it past. But if you're not going very fast, then you kind of have to either get lucky or like reactively dodge. So yeah, the first time was like a really lucky angle in how I got bounced for it, but like most of the time it'll be something more like that, where like you kind of hit like the part facing into you, and you just like lose all of your forward speed. Cool. Yeah. I had like even more speed there than I usually do, I think. So I didn't like know what to do there. Usually I land like somewhere around like here or so, but like I landed like on this slope, so like hit the ground in like a weird way. But that's fine. So you notice there's like a lot of places on those lumps where like I'll stop snaking. Just to re-clarify, pretty much it's because whenever like the course is doing like a hard upslope, if I try and snake up it, I just like won't get speed. I'll just like lose speed instead. So I either have to like boost or just like empty or something. Okay. Alright. So yeah, sometimes like getting those replaced is like really hard to line yourself up for because you're going. Whoa, double shift. Oh, I died for it. Okay, I keep dying here. I should stop. I got like a double shift boost there, which just kind of happens randomly. And it caused me to go really fast, so I should have been able to handle it, but I kind of messed up. Okay. It's like there, since I wasn't going fast enough, I had to like react to what was there. Oh my. Alright, one more death and I'll reset. Yeah, FFUN. Right? Yeah. This course actually is pretty fun when like everything's going right, but it's also very not fun when like random stuff happens to you all over the place and you end up dying a billion times. It's a course that it's very easy to get frustrated on, but like if you get past like getting frustrated, then you can have like a lot of fun playing it. So anyway, yeah, if I die one more time, I'll just like move on. Kind of the same deal as the rest. I messed up there. I was like trying to avoid the third pipe, but then I didn't make it back in time. So anyway, that's undulation. Kind of. Yeah, isles are definitely a lot of fun. There's no like frustration of like hard, or I shouldn't say there's none. There's a lot less frustration of like hard strats like wall use compared to like a full game run. Just because like for the most part, if there's like a hard strat, you can just kind of like not do it. And there's plenty of other time save to do like everywhere else that like you don't really have to worry about it. There's only like a few cases where there's like something that you pretty much have to do to like save time. And those are usually like skips. I think I said last course was like the most of like the shift boost abuse, but I use a couple here too. So less like they're a smaller part of this course, but they're part of it anyway. So this is Dragon Slope. Basically, the course is designed to look like the head of a dragon. If you look at the minimap, you can kind of see it. Like the like loop on the left is like its snout, kind of. It's kind of weird, I guess. Like the top part's supposed to look like the top of its wing or whatever. But it's like the course, the minimap is actually shown from. Also, I'm not gonna give the shift boost down here. The course minimap is actually shown from like the side instead of the top down. For the most part, most courses are shown from the top down, but this one's shown from the side, so you can actually like, see the dragon head. Okay. Yeah, so that area is really weird where I kept like crashing the walls repeatedly. Um, that part of the course is like you're driving like straight up, so its interaction when like you start to wobble is like a lot more than what normally happens when you'd wobble. So like if you wobble, you'll just like chain wobble over and over, and it's really obnoxious. It's not that big of a deal for max speed, but like when you're snaking, since you're like trying to turn back and forth and it's like a narrow hallway, if you like even touch the wall at all, like you lose a ton of time. Yeah, like that. So. I missed both those shifters. One of the things that I think I mentioned before is like, since when I was explaining MTSs, since your strafe is like dependent on how fast you're going, if you like mess up one shift boost, it's hard to get another one because your strafe value, like the amount that your strafe moves you changes because you're going slower. Like if you mess one up, so especially with snaking even more than max speed because you lose the speed so much faster. If you like mess up one, it's really hard to like get another one. So like go for one, miss it, go for another one, you miss it, and you feel dumb. But okay, so now up next is Slimline Slits, everybody's most hated casual course. It's actually pretty fun for speedrunning, to be honest. It's hard. It emphasizes like clean driving a bunch, and it's really easy to like get frustrated by like hitting walls and stuff. But when you play it right, it's got a lot of cool things. The main thing is like there's this big dive, and then you can kind of like lead it into getting a jump on part of the course, which I'm gonna go for if I can. I'm not super consistent at it, so I don't know if I'm going to, but we'll see. Maybe not. Not on that one anyway. So, someone else to try it. The reason why it's called Slimline Slits is because like there's a bunch of like little tiny like lumps in the ground where basically where those lines are, and you don't really notice them too much when like you're driving over them, but like they do like cause your vehicle to wobble just a little bit. Oh well. So yeah, like I was going fast enough there, I just like lifted off. And I was expecting to, but I've never just like driven off like that before. Like I popped up right there, and then. Oh, okay. So I kind of got a lift off for a moment there, but it wasn't quite enough speed to like really get the jump that I was hoping for. So I kind of like crashed the wall a little bit before. Right here, there's like a depth turn where if you're going very fast, you'll just die. You'll like fly off and die. And at that point, you're like on the outside of a turn, like sideways, so it's weird. Whoa. Okay. I almost had the lift off there, but then I ended up grinding along the wall and falling sideways. This game's also another thing about this game is like, since the course causes you to like drive sideways and upside down, never like all. Whoa. Okay. That's a thing that can happen. You can like lift off early. It's actually faster to do, but I don't really know how to set up for it consistently. So I got it that time, which is cool. Looks kind of weird. Well, I'm supposed to go on like the other side of like the little hill that you dive over. So in that case, it was actually slower. What was I saying? Oh yeah, since like the local gravity changes a lot, there's some weird cases where like sometimes your gravity angle will get skewed. You'll be like flying through the air and like being pulled in a direction that like you don't really expect. And that seems to happen a lot on this course. Oh. If you're going fast enough, you can clip back to the bottom of the course, but I wasn't there. I'm dying here a lot more than I expected to be, but that's fine. Okay, so that's the jump I was hoping for. Sometimes you can like sail over that little other part of the course if you get it early enough and fast enough, but it's not like it really matters. It's not even really a skip, you just kind of like you fly over part of the course that you'd be driving on instead, but it looks cool, so, and it's fast. Alright. Well, sometimes also if you hit the part of the course then you die. Because like I said before earlier, like if you skip too many checkpoints, then when you land you die. So that's like a much later part of the course, and I died for it, so. I think if I died twice more, I'll just move on. Which I feel bad about, but that's fine, I guess. There we go, that's what I wanted. That's what the jump looks like, done correctly. Which I finally got to show off, so. Right. Last attempt here. Well, anyway, that was the Lancelets, for the most part. I pretty much showed off everything, so that's fine. So up next is Screw Drive. I'm going to be using the vehicle I used way earlier on Drift Highway. One more time. This course is pretty fun. It's got a cool suicide that I'm going to go for at the end. Or I'm probably going to go for it. If I mess something up before it, then I won't. Or maybe I will just to show it off how it's supposed to work. It's actually a pretty consistent suicide. It's probably the most consistent super suicide finish that the game has. Because most game or pretty much every course you can get a suicide finish by just doing a rail slide and dying during the rail slide, but for a super suicide it means a part where you actually fly through the air a fair amount. So hopefully I get to show it off. I have no idea if my energy management is going to be accurate for this or not, but I'll go for it anyway. Or I guess I'll see. Might be too much. Maybe it's too much. Okay. Basically, I would just MTS into that wall. I would just crash into it and go flying across the finish line. I'm really disappointed I didn't get to show it off, but I messed up. So I got too much energy. I wasn't able to get rid of it in time. Yeah, Screw Drive, pretty short course. It's pretty fun actually. I have a lot of fun with that course. There's a lot of place for optimizations. There's a couple shift boosts you can get by if you boost and quick turn. Yeah, no pizza rip. If you boost and turn over a certain part, then you'll catch air for a moment and you go really fast. It's kind of hard to explain. Boost, quick turn, shift boosts are the weirdest thing, and it's something that's exclusive to snaking. It's one of the few techs that's exclusive to snaking, other than snaking itself. So for most people who have a lot more experience with max speed, you really don't use it anywhere there. So it's kind of hard to explain. I'm kind of rambling, but anyway, the joke that Val's talking about is in the HGDQ 2015 run of this, Niglaria offered AKC to buy him a pizza if he got the suicide during the run, and AKC got the suicide during the run, so we call it pizza strats, just that suicide, or whenever that suicide comes into discussion, we always reference the pizza, because it's a good joke. So this is Meteor Stream. I'm already mostly done with the course before I even explain it, but basically the whole time you're in a tube, but unlike most other pipes, it's pretty flat, so it's not really you're in a pipe, I guess. It doesn't feel like it. It's just a course with no walls where you just go up the side of a pipe instead of being in a tube. Anyway, cool suicide, really fast. There's an insane super suicide that's right after the dive, pretty much. You land and then go for a little bit and then do it. But there's several different suicide setups on the course depending on how ballsy you feel, and There's also like different ones for snaking and for max speed, but the one that I just did there is like super consistent, like 99% of the time, and it's like usually really really fast. Like there I went like 4,000 I think, and that was like on the lower end. I'll usually go like 5, 6, 7,000. Actually, like the biggest issue of consistency is actually this game has a thing where if you go over 10,000 kilometers an hour for more than one frame, your speed like overflows to 0. And sometimes, like, that pretty much only ever happens when it comes to, like, suicide finishes. But that's, like, that'll happen on that suicide finish sometimes. Like, it happened to me earlier today when I was, like, practicing. So this is cylinder wave. It's another cylinder. It's not nearly as annoying as cylinder knot. There's, like, I don't know, the cylinder's, like, a lot easier to manage. The pipes are less annoying. There's more like, there's like these flat areas. It's almost like on being on regular ground. It's almost kind of like how I was just talking about with like meteor stream, where like even though you're on the inside of a pipe, it doesn't really feel like you are. And like for parts of this course, it kind of feels that way too. Some of it you're very clearly on a pipe like that, but it's definitely like a lot more manageable. So. Whoa, I don't know where I am. I'm dead. I took that turn a little bit too fast and it just flicked me off a little bit too far. Usually it's pretty hard to die on cylinder courses because the gravity, even if you get pretty far away from the course, the gravity usually pulls you back, but I kind of hit that at like a really high speed and it flicked me off enough that I like couldn't get back to the course, so I died. Yeah, thanks gravity. Yeah, it's a pretty good run up to there. But so like that, like sometimes that'll happen where like I didn't die, it kept me on. So like even though I made an error that like could have resulted in dying like that too, it doesn't actually kill me. It just flings me around weirdly. I almost did it again, but I actually like slowed down. I tapped on the brake for a moment to make sure that wouldn't happen. Okay. That was a little bit better. 137. 137 is kind of slow, but that's fine. Also, I like zoomed in the camera for a meme at the end, but I have to remember to zoom it back out when I start. Oops. Oh, good. Menuing. So coming up, this is Thunder Road. It's one of the longest courses in the game. It's a pretty fast course throughout pretty much the whole thing. I mentioned earlier that like rail slides pretty much aren't used in the middle of courses, but there was one course that I would, and this course I actually use a rail slide towards the beginning on all 3 laps. There's an area where there's like a sharp, like super wide 90-degree turn, so you can build up a ton of speed going into it, and then it gets really narrow, so like you can't really snake while doing it, while like inside the area. So it's actually faster to just like rail slide. And this vehicle body has like so much strength that the damage that it does to you doesn't really matter. Like I kind of messed up the entry, but like even with that rail slide, I hardly took any damage. It'll be a lot better on boost laps, so like move boosting speed instead. This course has like a lot of like cool things too. One thing about this course like that, there's like a lot of like sharp corners, and if you hit the walls, you'll just like dead stop. Not usually a big deal, but that's kind of what happened there. So I got a shift boost there, but like I built up a bunch of speed around that turn, and then I tap A just at the right time. And like there was just like a little lump on the ground before I did that. Okay, so that's what the rest side's supposed to look like. And like you get through there a lot faster than if you were like snaking, so you kind of take the energy loss. Usually you have enough anyway, because you just have to like get to here. There's more. So what I did right there, actually, just after I landed from the dive, there's a tech called MTS and a shift boost. So, like I mentioned, MTS is the drifting technique. MTS is like the drifting technique. So your speed number, like your speed actually goes up when you're doing that, obviously. So if you tap A at the right time and at the right angle, then you can use that speed. Like when you tap A, then like for the first moment, you'll like send that speed straight forward. So basically you can use that speed to like pop you over the lump. I messed it up there, but it's a cool little lift off you can do there. You can actually get it on laps 1 or lap 1 as well, and obviously lap 2. I messed it up on lap 2, and then I usually just don't go for it on lap 1 because it's really hard for me to get up to speed for it. But okay, so next is Spiral. It's the longest course in the game. It's my favorite course also. It's got a bunch of like cool stuff. It's got several cool skips, and you go fast. So basically, the course starts out. There's just like a lot of turns on the course, hence the name Spiral. And there's like a corkscrew, and there's like, I don't know. You got this weird thing at the beginning here where you're on the inside of a pipe, and then like it turns to ground, and then like the course flips over, and you ride the cylinder back through. So like if you look in front of you, the course like goes forward. Actually, oh, did I miss that? Oh no, I got it. Okay, so that was the skip. The course like goes forward and like does like a little flip upside down, and then comes back. But if you drive off that the right, like through the right area, you can actually just like avoid it. So doing that's kind of sketchy, because if you go off like while skidding, then it's hard. And if you're skidding, like it's a lot easier to skid on the inside of a pipe, but I'm pretty consistent at it. There's also a cool skip you can do here coming up. It's really hard to do on lap 1. I got it once earlier. I actually could have gotten it there. I think I had like a setup for it. But basically, you land about here from where that jump was. I'll show it off again, like later, to be more clear. Okay, I'm just not gonna get this skip this time. This is what it looks like if you don't. And you land about down here, so it's not too much slower to not do it, especially on boost laps. But the world record actually doesn't do it on boost laps. I don't know why. It's one of the oldest records in the game. At least one of the oldest snaking records. So I don't know if he just felt. I don't know if he felt it wasn't worth it, or if he felt it wasn't worth it enough to like to go forward and risk like losing runs to it. Like by that I mean I don't know if he thought it was slower or if he just thought it wasn't worth it. Is what I mean. Yeah, you just kind of like do that and you land up here. Yeah, I guess for the sake of like not dying, I'm just not going to do the skip again, just in case, because lap 3. So I'm coming up on time here after the next course. The next course is the shortest course in the game. It's only about like 31, 32 seconds. The record's actually 24. My PB is 31, or my PB is 29, but my consistent time is like around 31 or so. Yeah, after next course, then it'll be. Whoa. All right. Okay. Well, whatever. I guess I'll do the course again. I have time anyway. So, I mean that was pretty much the end, but okay, that's good for me. Right at the end of the course, though, there's like a little place where the ground drops a little bit, and so if you're going the right speeds and like you're holding A, you'll get a shift boost, or I think in that case it might have been 2. So I got a ton of speed without realizing it, and I wasn't able to turn in time. So I crashed into the back wall, which killed me because I was going so fast. So yeah, that's the thing, I guess. And to be fair, I know about that spot, and I usually try to avoid pressing A, but it was personal like error of me pressing A during that time. I was just trying to go fast, so I was still like holding A because I was still snaking. But like, about like here you really say, and like you catch air there, but as long as you're not holding A, you don't get the speed because you can't get shift boosts. Oh, oops. Okay, that was bad death. Yeah, I think this will have to be my last attempt in order to make the estimate, so. Basically already finished anyway, but, you know, just in case. So yeah, if you get something a little bit better than that, you can make this give on map 1. But it kind of sucks. Like it's harder than it looks because if you land on like the very front part, like as soon as the ground appears, you'll actually die because like your checkpoint needs to like update going forward. So like you need to actually go a little bit further. So it's kind of like paradoxical because normally it's like, well, if you skip too many checkpoints, you know, you just land not as far, but you actually have to like land further in order to not die. So even if you can like make it up there, sometimes it's still not safe. Normally I'd be like a lot more aggressive about attempting to skip because it really isn't that hard, but like I've already shown it at this point, and there's no point in like dying over it. So for like time attack attempts, I would like never get a PB and not have it. But yeah, I kind of crashed into the wall there, so that's what caused that to happen. Right. Well, it looks like I'm... Wait, never mind, I'm good. I might barely make the estimate. That was actually a pretty good time. My second best. Okay, so this is the last course, Sonic Oval. It's a super short course. It's just an oval with a ton of boosters. I'm using the fastest vehicle here. It's not totally flat. The course kind of like curves upward. So like if you're on the very right side of the course, so it's like the whole thing is a left turn. You can kind of see like from that camera shot, it kind of like curves inward, but for the most part it's flat enough that this vehicle works. Pretty much this vehicle is better the flatter the course is, so it's kind of like a toss-up. when like you're first starting playing between this one and the other one, um, the Condor, which I use for most of the courses. Um, I've always used this one, but like I can get almost as good times with the other one. I can get like low 30s, my PB's to 29, so. So that was like really bad. I like messed up my snaking a lot. Okay, coming up on time here, and time.
So best admit you did it.
Yeah. Cool.
119, 46 according to me.
Yeah.
Give or take.
That's what I got too. Or maybe like a
Okay.
45. My splitting's always late because I have to like drive across the finish line and then. So somewhere around there anyway. So yeah, that's GX snaking. It's a good round. Too bad about those couple that I had to like, couple courses that I just skip, but that's kind of the nature of running this game, like in marathon settings. So I just kind of accept that that's how it's going to go, and that's fine. So thanks for watching, everyone.
Alright, we're off. Nice one,
Alright, cool.
David.